Hey guys, if you've ever tried to install or change a tyre with a tyre liner in it, such as like a CushCore or another brand alternative, you know it's a bloody nightmare. Biggest part of the issue is if you're doing your tyres at home, you probably only change your tyres once every 6 or 12 months. So you never quite develop the small techniques to make this job like doable without wrecking your hands. So today we're going to show you how to install and remove your tyre with a tyre liner like a CushCore. And we'll show you some valuable little tips and tricks, so when you get to your next tyre change, you'll be flying. So for this job, we're assuming your wheel is already taped and your valve is already fitted. You'll need to use a special valve to suit the tyre liner. This should come with your tyre liners though. The valve will have a hole on the top, like a regular valve, but also have holes on the side. So when the tyre liner sits on top of it, it doesn't block the holes. So wheel, tape, valve, you need your liner itself, tyre, and some tyre levers, some of these. You don't need anything special, but just a strong set will do the job. A few different ways to do this. We'll show you 2 different methods and you can try and see what works best for you. So first of all, for this CushCore, these ones have a cutout for the valve just here, so we can find our valve. The first method, we're going to install the liner on the rim, then pull our tyre over the liner, and then one side at a time, we'll tuck it in under the bead. So we'll do this method first. So we'll line up the valve with the cutout and we'll stretch this on. I often like to push against the ground, and you'll often need to sort of stretch this as you go. Pull this nice and tight, like this, down the rim, pushing against the ground. And then when it starts to get tight, I often like to have a bit of a bounce it on. And at this point, you can probably lift it off the ground and just put the last little bit on, like that. The next step, we'll grab our tyre. This is where we need to 1000% get the direction correct, because all this effort, we're not going to pull it off again and change it. So we find our direction on the side of the tyre, goes this way. What's important pro tip, we really aim to line the graphics on our tyre up with the valve. It looks professional, but it also helps you find the valve when you pump your tyres up. So the next step, we will put the tyre inside we'll put the wheel and the liner, I should say, inside the tyre, and we're going to pull it up and over the centre. Alright, so we've got our direction correct. We'll sit our wheel in and we'll start to pull it up and over. I like to give it a bit of a tug, pull it in tight, and then we can start to pull the tyre over the first half. What we need to do here is pull it over, and then we get on like this. So now we're loose on the inside. This is where we can ensure our valve is lined up with the text, just like this. And then we can start to install the tyre. Right, now it's time, we're going to start putting the first side of the tyre in.
What I like to do, I like to match it up with the logo, obviously, and then get a little grip, pull it over into the bead, and then do that the whole way around the tyre. When you get to this stage and lie it on the ground, I think.
At this spot here, it's going to get much tighter. And we often find that doing this on the ground can be the best place to do this.
And keep it going until it gets pretty tight. Make sure the bead's popped on. And when it gets pretty tight and you can't push it on anymore, go around the tyre and you'll see the line here. You wanna push that down to where you can't really see it. It does sometimes come back up, but you wanna get it out of the way so the bead's off, so the tyre's not as tight down the middle of the rim.
So what we're effectively trying to do is push the tyre underneath the tyre liner to get it into the centre of the rim.
Sometimes it won't go down because the tyre's so loose, so I'd even pop it on a little bit more and then pop it off again so it's easier to push down, and then do that the whole way around the tyre, and then you'll get that side on.
One side's done right there.
Now I basically repeat what I just did on that side. Push down and pull up, set that in, and do that the rest of the way around the tyre. that gets challenging, you can also put it on the floor and peel it on with your palms or your hands, which is also very easy. And then it'll obviously get tight again. So you want to push it on.
So now it's starting to get tight.
Push it on just a little bit more.
So you want to pull a bit of tension on it. Now we can start to do the de-beading process.
And you want to keep pushing it on and pushing the part of the bead down where you've just put on. And it should be pretty easy from here on in.
One important factor we need to point out, right now, Archer has his knee on the tyre on this side over here. So what that's doing is that's lifting the front side here off the ground.
So then it's not, so then you can keep it off the ground, so then you can push it on so it's easier, not hitting the ground.
Exactly. If we're pushing this on the ground, we're actually pushing the tyre liner into the ground, which is actually working against us. Now that we've got both sides on, we can pump up the tyre and feed the tyre and seat it into position. So we'll keep going. All the bangs that you hear are normal. What's going on as we pump it up?
There's the bead popping on around the tyre on all sides, and you want it to be like the same on each side.
And that one's done, hey?
Yup.
Archer's done a great job, and he's got this tyre on. He's got it seated, pumped up, and it's all beaded. We've checked the bead line, and both the way around, it's all seated correctly. Now the last thing we need to do on this one is put the sealant inside it. When you have a tyre liner, the only way to put the sealant in will be to take out the valve core and put it through the valve core with a sealant syringe or something else like that. If you need any advice doing that, we've already got a video called How to Set Up Your New Bike Tubeless, where we run it through all the details how to do that side of things. So now we'll show you how to remove this tyre. So what's next?
Take it off.
How to remove tyre with tyre liner.
So you start with letting all the air out, as much as you can get out.
It's really important to get all the air out. I would even recommend we take the valve core out.
Yeah. And then put it on the floor like you just were putting it on. Grab some tyre levers and pop the bead off on both sides. So
let's go slow on this one.
Have your knees on this side and go to the top opposite where your knees are and push the bead off the whole way around the tyre. And then flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. Make sure that's off on both sides still. Yep.
Alright, now we de-beaded both the sides of the tyre. Now we're ready to start taking the first half off.
What I normally like to do is peel back the tyre to where you can see under it there, and then get your tyre lever in there and pull it back. Sometimes if you're lucky, you might be able to sit on it and pull back on it and slide, and it'll do exactly that.
But otherwise, you'll probably need your second tyre lever. Grab your second tyre lever.
And say that one was stuck in there, get your other one, pull that back as well, jam that in there and pull that back as well, and do that the whole way around the tyre. Then just do that the rest of the way around. Then you do the same on this side, pop it off. Say you wanted to jam that into there. That's what those hooks are for on your tyre levers, to jam into your spokes. Grab the other one and do the same thing the whole way around the tyre lever. Take the tyre off. Put that aside and take your CushCore off. You're done.
Nice. My biggest tips I would offer would be based around doing this on the ground. So what makes this really hard is if we're pushing on against the ground on the tyre like this, the tyre liner is pushing against us and it's going to hold the bead in position. It's going to basically stop us from taking the tyre in and out. So what we need to do, what we like to do is we'll often put either our foot or our knee on it, our foot or our knee, whatever's comfortable, because that will hold this off the ground and it will give us something to work with here. So if we were going to de-bead this, what we need to do is get our tyre lever right above the rim, and we often need to use a little bit of force, especially to start with. A little bit of force and velocity. What can also help is use your hand to push in the same direction. So we'll get here and we'll go bit of force, and then once we got a little bit done, it should be a lot easier to kind of go around from there like this. And again, we'll spin it to where it's off the ground. Making sure that line is well tucked in underneath. This method here works really good for me. Otherwise, you might want to put your knees on it like this. This will make a huge difference, and you really want to ensure that you've got the whole bead line. So if you come and have a look at it, like, and see some of this here, where this line is here, the tyre will still be very, very tight to get off. So we would need to go and push this in as well.
When you're putting it on, so when you get stuck at that last little bit there, always make sure the bead, you can't see any of that line there, because that is what will make your life extremely difficult.
It's good advice. And don't get the tyre in the wrong direction.
That will also make your day very bad.
So the thicker your tyre, the harder you're going to have to push to get it under the bead. Another factor that will really help, if you're in a cold climate, like we're in Melbourne in winter at the moment, so it gets really, really cold. So sometimes we're working with some rubber that feels really, really stiff. If you can leave it in the sun, if there is sunshine out, that will really soften everything up and really help you get the tyre on. Now you got your tyre done, last thing to do, go riding.